Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us today. And as a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, would appreciate your subscription. So, guys, a little belated Happy Thanksgiving. Football wasn't great, but hey, at least we got spend some time with our families. How was it?
It was good. It was good. A lot of exciting action to get into. Let's go ahead and do it.
Let's talk some sports, baby. You know what it is. Like you said, happy belated Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was good. I hope, you had a good Thanksgiving. Jay had a good Thanksgiving. And everybody out there that's listening and watching, they had a Thanksgiving. But you know what time it is? It's time to take care of business. Pull up a seat because we got to speak what we're getting into today, baby.
Let's get into it, man. In episode 18, Joe Burrow goes down. The college football playoff rankings are in. And we take a look at all the college football action of this weekend. Let's go ahead and start off this Saturday morning with a look back at the Thanksgiving NFL action. While the Steelers and Ravens were postponed, we did get in Texans-Lions and then Washington versus Dallas. The Texans took the first matchup 41-25 behind a superb performance from Deshaun Watson. Then a pivotal NFC East matchup got underway with big playoff implications. The football team was able to put away McCarthy's Cowboys 41-16. So, Jay, two blowouts in Turkey Day, but one does technically matter. So what's your takeaway from the wins by the Texans and the Washington football team on Thursday?
My bad. That pivotal word threw me for a loop. But you listen, you're not wrong. Washington moves in the first place temporarily, at least. But let's start from the top. Baltimore and Pittsburgh, just an absolute tragedy that game was postponed. That was definitely the one game I was looking forward to. Once that game got scrapped, I would say there wasn't a team that I was looking forward to seeing, but I think Deshaun Watson moved to the top of the list, and he definitely delivered a superb performance, as you say, threw for over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, just an impeccable performance. And of course, on the flip side, Detroit. So every now and then you get fooled by a team. You look a couple weeks ago, Detroit heading into, Sunday's game. They were about 4-5 when they were about to play the Panthers. Like, oh, maybe they could be doing something. And then nope, you get shut out by the Carolina Panthers, who about the Panthers, right? They drafted a whole new defense, and they're already in shutout form apparently. Good job, Matt Rule. But then you hit into Thanksgiving, and Detroit, they come out and they look okay. They go up 7-0, and then J.J. Watt does the interception. Next thing you know, Houston's going on a 41-10 scoring spree, and 41-25. Matt Patricia. I don't know. It's got to be fired at some point. But Deshaun Watson, you think about the Houston Texans, their off season, they endured, the DeAndre Hopkins trade. I got to admit, I feel somewhat sorry for Deshaun Watson and just the situation he's in. But he's playing well. 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's having really a great season despite the win-loss record not looking so hot. Even though I think Houston, it appears that with Romeo Crennel being the interim head coach, he's got them playing a little bit better. The defense has shown a little bit more grit, it would seem. So they got that going for them. But obviously, Detroit on the other side, they certainly made things easy on them. They had a stretch in the first half where they turned the ball over on 3 straight possessions. So nothing impressive. When you look at the Detroit Lions, and then in the afternoon fest with Washington and Dallas. Obviously, I think we got to continue to, pay some respect to Alex Smith and what he's overcome to get to this point. I don't think we can sell that short at all. This young man, Antonio Gibson from Memphis, I believe it is, he's having just a fantastic season. Could be in the Rookie of the Year running, 115 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. We know Terry McLaurin, he's probably one of the more underrated number one wide receivers that you see in the league. And of course that defensive line that they have with just a plethora of first round picks, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, the list goes on and on. They certainly can make things difficult on you. But then on the other side, Dallas, just the disappointment that they've become. Andy Dalton, I would say, I don't think he played particularly poorly, but he didn't get a lot of help. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott going to run the ball 10 times for 32 yards. That just speaks to the identity issue they've had for about the past year and a half. They've just gotten away from running the football. But also we can't put all of that on Zeke most likely, because that offensive line is just, it's disintegrated before our very eyes. Travis Frederick retired. Tyron Smith's been out. Now you got a situation where we got Lyle Collins. He's been out. Now you got a situation where Zach Martin, I didn't even know he was playing right tackle, but he's out there. And then he gets hurt. Your backup left tackle, Cam Irving, gets hurt. So it's just a perennial who's who of offensive linemen that they have out there. We know their defense hasn't been any good throughout this entire year. You got Mike McCarthy out. They run in, you remember that Indianapolis Colts fake punt from years ago that, Chuck Pagano's, people still laughing at Chuck Pagano for that one. I think Dallas might have one-upped him on that 4th and 10 double reverse thing that just was just terrible to watch. So they had that going on. And all in all, this was a poor day of football by 4 pretty bad teams. You had one very good quarterback. You got some young talent you like on Washington. But all in all, not a very impressive day. But that gets to my overall point on Thanksgiving. We got to take a look. NFL should take a look at these Thanksgiving Day games. It should be a real honor to play on Thanksgiving, and you should be required to represent the NFL with some degree of respect. That's not what the Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys do. And they've had the privilege of playing on Thanksgiving every season since 1978. The Detroit Lions, their history goes back to 1934. That's when this all started. And it was in both of these cases for these teams, it was in some ways a marketing ploy. The Detroit Lions, we're just trying to attract more fans. Let's play on Thanksgiving. And kind of the same way in Dallas, I believe. I think their little tradition started in 1966. But all in all, as time has went along, the Detroit Lions since 2001, they're about 4-16 on Thanksgiving. And Dallas since 2010, they're now 4-7. And thank the good Lord, whoever in the NFL front office said, you know what? It was 2006. They said, you know what? Let's add a third game. Let's add a primetime game. And thank God they did. But of course, this year, even that one saving grace, Pittsburgh-Baltimore got dashed. I think the NFL should relook at these Thanksgiving Day games. I don't think we should never see Detroit play another Thanksgiving Day game. I mean, think about this. What's the most notable thing about the Detroit Lions? Just for their team. Oh, they play on Thanksgiving. That's about all you can say. There's nothing else notable about them except the fact that they're bad. Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a good one. It probably wasn't because of the great football you had to watch.
How do I come back after that? Listen, you told no lies with that description. Listen, this slate was pretty lackluster at best. But here's the deal. I would disagree with you as far as it is what it is. It's a tradition. Not all traditions go good every year. And this was one of them. The bottom fell out. The foundation of Thanksgiving Day, which was going to be the Baltimore Ravens and against the Pittsburgh Steelers, that fell out. So you already knew the slate was going to be something that wasn't going to live up to the Thanksgiving. Let's sit down and eat a meal and watch some good football. That level of attentive. But listen, Deshaun Watson is where I want to go with this. Deshaun Watson, he's probably the best losing quarterback in the NFL right now. We seen it. He lit these boys up, and I would say this, Deshaun Watson, on to the point you was making about Brandon. Like, okay, Detroit want to play on Thanksgiving because it's a good look to play when nobody else is playing, Dallas, whatever. I think Deshaun Watson picked a good time to make sure his Brandon is still, like, looking upward. Hopefully they get this guy some help there. But listen, you can't ask for no more than what he did. Now, the defense showed up. This is what Deshaun Watson showed. You give me a little defense. Give me something to work with. Let's do something. Like, I'm not crying. I'm not throwing a fit. Just give me some help. That's what he got on Thanksgiving. Defense showed up. Like you said, I think they forced three straight turnovers. And that's what Deshaun Watson needed. All right, now I get the ball in my hand more. Now I can do a little more. Now I can scramble. I can show what I have here. And listen, for what it's worth, Will Fuller showed up for him, 6 catches for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you finally got some help. Brandon Cooks 5 receptions for 85 yards. So I wasn't overly impressed with the run game, but at least Duke Johnson came out of the backfield and caught a few balls and caught a touchdown, you know. So they was trying to do something. And listen, it is what it is. That offensive line ain't up to par. It's just not up to par. As much as we rag on the Lions did make, you know, their offensive line work, and it's not up to par. It is what it is. But I want to, you know, big shout out to Deshaun Watson. Kudos to you playing on Thanksgiving. You did your thing, and hopefully, you know, from the drink of wisdom, your team decides to help you, and you don't have to pull Andrew Luck and hang it up early because you just know you're going to die on the field. And as far as the Lions, you know what it is. We've been talking about Bob the Builder, you know, all year. Lame duck coach. Your boy already got the young Budaruski in Atlanta, and the only reason you didn't get the Budaruski because y'all won a few games. So, you know, the Ford Foundation now was like, hey, listen, it's Christmas time. They just go ahead and keep them. You know what I'm saying? You got to get these toys. You got to, you know, just keep them on the roster. All right? Like, it is what it is. We'll just fire them. We'll fire them at the end of the season. We got those new pencils. Yeah, mechanical. All right, cool. And, you know, that's what they did. Number 2, lad. So, you know, but we know what's going to happen to Patricia. He's out of here. I don't even care if they go undefeated for the rest of the season. He's out of here. You can go ahead and bet your bottom dollar on that. So that was the first game. Moving on to the second game, the football team. And so listen, we had America's team versus the football team. Now wrap your hand around that slogan as they roll it in. Cue the music. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, what a slobber knocker. This game was for all the marbles. Number one in the division leader. They're fighting for a home playoff game in that slobber knocker of a division, the AFC East. But if I was Skip Bayless, that'd be the NFC East, NFC least, I should say. But listen, here's the deal. I picked the Cowboys knowing doggone well. Oh, by the way, I went 0 for 2 for Thanksgiving. Hey, thanks a lot, Cowboys. Thanks a lot, Lions. But I thought to myself, okay, I know the football team got a great defense, but that offense just not going to have enough. And I thought Dallas was improving on the defensive side of the ball, giving the offense enough to where Andy Dalton can push the ball down the field and Zeke can run. Boy, was I wrong. Let's just go ahead and cut to the chase. I was absolutely wrong. That defense came to play. I was solely impressed in Chase Young. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Chase Young this year. I finally got to sit down and see him, and I was impressed. I thought Chase Young, that front seven, well, let me tell you, that's front seven is good. Let's just wait. If Ron Rivera get the packet in and fix that secondary, that defense is really, really good. And then Dallas. Jerry Jones, what you paying for? What are you paying for? I got to know what you paying for. Cause you ain't paying Andy Dalton that much, so I don't want to hear you paying him. Oh, Zeke? You paying for Zeke? That 10 carries for 32 yards? Oh yeah, Zeke. What? One catch for 7?
One fumble lost?
One. I mean, I guess as a businessman, I've been told that you do your thing in the business world. I don't know how much of a return you're getting on Zeke, but there's neither here nor there. Amari Cooper did show up though, 6 catches for 112 and a touchdown. So he showed up. I didn't feel like the offense used all their weapons to the best of their ability. I don't know if there's a Mike Nolan thing. I don't know if there's just a Dallas Cowboy thing. I don't know what it is. Andy Dalton, listen, I was a big component. I said it wasn't that much of a gap between Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton. And I think if you're talking talent-wise, I still don't think it's that big of a gap. But when you're talking about the attitude of the team around that quarterback, oh, yeah, it's a big gap. Oh, yeah, we driving the 18-wheeler through this. This team seems like they don't give a rat's ass about Andy Dalton whatsoever. I don't see the energy down there. I don't see the want to. I don't see the give a boop that you usually see. I don't know. I don't know. I would be very surprised to see Andy Dalton wearing a Cowboys uniform next year. But, shouts out to Randy Gregory. You know what I'm saying? Young marijuana, as they call him on the streets. 2 sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence actually showed up. He did a cameo in the game. And then, on and on. I just want to look. The defense seemed like they starting to grasp the concept of NFL level football. So they still kind of awful, but they seem like they progressing. They watching tape. They doing something on their off time instead of just catching COVID. So the defense seemed like they're doing something. So I would definitely want to give them a shout out on that. But America's team, listen, I ain't gonna crush it as much as Jay did when he said y'all don't even deserve the Thanksgiving slate no more. But come on, y'all do gotta give us something better. You gotta give us a little more. I can't get excited. It's too much going on in the world. And then when I think I'm gonna at least get to sit down with my meal and watch me some pig skin and some, helmets cracking. And then I'm over here looking at cornhole instead of football. This ain't it. It ain't it. So for everybody else, I don't know what your viewing experience was, but those was my takeaways from these lackluster Thanksgiving games.
I think you're muted, fam. I still can't hear you.
I'm sorry. It's
audio
technical difficulties, much like the technical.
Much like them 2 games.
I couldn't do it, man. Couldn't do it. No, I was saying my training as a fan of the teams I follow allows me to watch games like this and just be happy. I can just be
very nice,
entertained to death. But no, this was a lackluster slate to say the least. You guys pretty much nailed it. For the Texans, I think this is what we expected them to look like. I don't think that we thought the Texans would be good as a team, but we kind of thought, it would basically be the Deshaun Watson show, and then he would just kind of carry him to some more wins than they probably have. At 4-7, you got the Colts twice, you got the Bears, Bengals, Titans. You're probably not winning all of those, and it doesn't look like they're going to get to the playoffs still. But they might wind up finishing around 500. Which if you figure how stacked the deck got against them at the start of the season, and kind of all the layers of crap we pulled off after the Bill O'Brien firing, that's probably pretty commendable for Deshaun Watson and in this team. So good on him, I guess. Nice to see him beat someone, not the Jaguars. Matt Patricia, man, y'all are absolutely right. It is so time for pencil year to go. Let me throw this at you. Jim Caldwell was 36-28 in his tenure with the Lions and had 2 playoff appearances. Patricia has now lost more games. He's 13-29 with a tie in like 20 less games. It took him to lose more games than Jim Caldwell, who got fired as a Lion. They should have given him a lifetime contract and a statue outside the freaking building. This is one of these teams where we're going to see if the accountability matters, because ownership in June, they said, hey, this is we expect big improvements and we're expecting big things to the Lions this season, and they're doing the same shit they always do. So excuse my language, but they've been blown out in 4 straight. It's just
how you really feel.
I feel, because I watch this kind of crap all the time. That whole team's heading for a rebuild, if we're being honest. With Matt Stafford's going to get out of here. They're going to get all these other old guys out of here. They're going to have to clean it out and restart. So might be a little bit of a rough sled to come in Detroit. Also, Dallas, Washington, real quick. I think with Dallas, you guys kind of mentioned it both, but you're seeing a huge disconnect with that team in the locker room and the coaches. And I think that a lot of this has to do with Jerry Jones. I think that these players have realized Jerry Jones is the one pulling all the strings, and he's the one that really runs the show. And I feel bad for Mike McCarthy in some way. I get that he's not doing a great job, but I think these players have realized, you're just a puppet, man. You're not actually running. You're not calling shots around here. I think you're you had the stink with him, blowing up a watermelon or something in the locker room, and everyone was all like, what is going on with this? I think he's just trying to get these guys motivated in some way because he just doesn't have that team. He doesn't have that locker room. They don't have their quarterback. And, boy, those narratives from, like, how with the Dak Prescott injury and, well, maybe Andy Dalton can take him to the playoffs and da-da-da. And that just, like, just crashed, blew up. Train came off the tracks, and it's gone for now. Let me throw this at you, too. Ezekiel Elliott, that was his 5th fumble lost this season. He has 2 touchdowns on the season and 5 fumbles lost. If you consider that the team would just kick a field goal and every one of his fumbles lost, he's actually less points value than he is, not being on the field at all. So, boy, that contract looks bad. Another one of these chalk it up, done with these running backs. Like, you sign them these big contracts and you cross your fingers because even that one looked like a surefire hit. That's already looking pretty rough, and just how fast things can change. And on the other side of the spectrum, running backs that are good, Antonio Gibson, 3rd-round pick. This man is 8th in the league in rushing at 645 yards. He has 11 touchdowns, tied for 2nd. So, Washington early on, we praised their draft, and a lot of it was because of Chase Young, but, they had some other good players they had picked out. Antonio Gibson looks like they may have found quite the player in the 3rd round. And, I guess with the football team, how far can they really go with Alex Smith? They're 3-2 in their last 5, but they do have a bit of a rough schedule ahead. They have Pittsburgh, 49ers, Seattle, Carolina, and the Eagles. But, it looks like 6 or 7 wins are going to win that division. So I guess they're in the driver's seat. Good for them.
Can I just say, I know you want to rag on Zeke, and that's fine. And the same thing about the quarterback situation. I just don't want to undersell this point. The Cowboys finished that game on Thanksgiving out Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, Zach Martin, and Travis Frederick. Everything they do and have done for the past several years since they've had Dak and Zeke has all started with that offensive line. That offensive line is in shreds, and everything else has crumbled because of it.
That's fair. The only I would say is that the fumbles aren't the offensive line's fault,
No,
but
the
production, you're absolutely right. That is a fair point. But don't look good in Big D right now, that's for sure.